The worst year for a lot of us for our mental as well as physical health. So joining us this morning is best-selling author, coach Lisa Goldenthal.
Hello and welcome. I'm Lisa G, your host. You're at the top of your game, yet the game is changing faster than ever. Strategies that got you here aren't the ones that'll keep you here. The pressure is relentless, and the fear of obsolescence looms large. That's why I'm here. Welcome to the new podcast series, Disrupted: How to Be Gritty and Unlock Performance in Business, Mindset, Wellness, and Success to help you master disruption.
Thanks for coming, and I'll see you soon.
Hello and welcome back to WholeCEO with Lisa G, where we turn high performance into lifestyle. Today we're talking longevity, biohacking, and true healing, minus the height. My guests are Dr. Mark Sherwood. I'm so excited that he's here. He's a best-selling author, filmmaker, TV personality, founder of the Functional Medical Institute. He's helped millions rethink aging, reduce or eliminate unnecessary meds, and build health from the cell up with the functional medicine and innovative therapies and whole person wellness. I'm so excited to demystify longevity. If you've ever been told that's just aging, get ready to challenge that. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Mark. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you, Lisa. It's great to see you, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm thrilled for this conversation. I have to say, biohacking, longevity, anti-aging, all some of my favorite topics. And so from a selfish standpoint, welcome. Let's just dive in. I want to talk about genetics versus epigenetics and what does it all mean?
Well, it's a fascinating subject because a lot of people thought that we were going to solve the aging disease processes with genetics, but that was no farther from the truth, because once we did the Human Genome Project in the early 2000s, those answers didn't come. So we determined that probably diseases were tied to maybe 3 or 4 different, maybe percent of our genome. So that's not much. So what is the other 96, 97%? And what does that all mean? Well, we need to understand that our genes, really our whole genome, our DNA, is a book of recipes that makes proteins that respond to the environment. For example, when a virus comes upon you that it doesn't recognize, it creates a protein in the form of an antibody to deal with it. If you have a tissue injury of some sort, it creates some proteins to bring about reparations. You get the idea. So we have this interaction between our genes and the environment all the time.
Right.
And the interaction is called the epigenetic conversation. And a lot of people look at that and go, what does that mean? I guess the best way to explain it is like an analogy I'll give you, like a river. And in between a river and a reservoir, there's this thing called the dam. And so the dam in our analogy here is going to be like our genes. And the genes or the dam interacts with the reservoir to decide how much water is going to be let out. That would be genetic expression. And so when we understand our genes and how they operate on a unique basis, we're able then to adjust what is adjustable in our environment, which can be nutrition, sleep, stress management, movement, hormones, peptide supplementation, all of these things. And we can give people like Lisa G, the predictable pattern of the expression, therefore giving you a pattern of disease resilience, which is kind of cool.
So it's totally customized. Then you do have on the genes, so you understand, well, I have these particular skinny genes and I need to, just joking about that, but alter my nutrition, my environment for my genes. So that is awesome that you have this customizable solution. And I want to dive into, like I said, my favorite topic, longevity.
Yeah.
If possible, yes, no, and why?
It is possible under the context of, in our definition anyway, of longevity, is being able to live better, longer, or increasing that thing called health span. I'm not really into increasing lifespan if it's not life. I think you know
Wow.
where I'm going with that.
Yeah.
I do think we're able to increase health span substantially. I think a couple things need to be done. We need to start thinking different. In the US, we have an expectation, I believe, based upon our life expectancy. I think that word is really cool, life expectancy. We probably expect to live to early 80s if we're male or females, and we sort of characterize that as that's a long life. But what if we were really designed to live to about 120? What if our organ systems were really originally designed to live that way? Would that change our expectation? And would our expectation then being changed change our behaviors around that or change the way we viewed life around that? And I think it would. So I'm all into the idea of I want to ensure that I make the best, most of my opportunity called life. And I think that living through life is far superior than maybe dying through life. So it is possible, and we are seeing more thought leaders, more thinkers, more protocols, modalities. Again, even like the concept of DNA that gives us insight into how to do that.
Well, let's dive into some suggestions for our audience. I mean, I know you can't generically suggest
Yeah.
nutrition stuff without doing the testing, but from question one and question two on epigenetics, do you have any suggestions to increase our health span, thus our longevity, with exercise and nutrition that our audience could take in just have a few tips?
Yeah, I'm big about some practical tips that seem like no-brainers. Let's just call it that. Because look, everybody can do this, and everybody has a lot under their control, perhaps on the antithesis of what they've been told before. Is you do have a lot under control. Genes don't create diseases. It's many times our behaviors that create genetic expression that's not favorable, right? And
Right.
so when you start looking at aging processes, there's several things that you can do starting right now that will benefit the aging processes in a positive way. One is eat real food. And I know that seems like a duh moment, but honestly, when we eat processed food or participate in the standard American diet, we are really participatory in a process that is killing people. And I say those words intentionally. So, and this may be a good way to remember it, kind of funny, but anything the government subsidizes as far as food, don't eat it. And I mean that because if you start consuming the breads, the grains, the corns, the soy, the sugars that we subsidize, putting them on the end caps of supermarkets, it's going to drive disease processes. So if you can eat the food that you can imagine being in its original form, original
Yep.
packaging, original location, you're
Yeah.
going to win. I think number two is move every day. The only day you don't exercise is the day you're dead. And I really think that movement is life and lack of movement is rigor mortis. So we sit a lot. Technology is amazing. I'm all for it. But you have to do things. You got to get a stand-up desk, walk around the block, walk around your office. If you're talking to somebody and they're 75 feet away, consider not sending them a text message. Go actually speak to them, kind of neat stuff. Those are basic. And I think one of the other things that I use, it's kind of novel, but people should be doing this, is when you drink water, make sure that you get at least 60 ounces a day, if not somewhere around 80 or 90 to 100. And if you can, utilize one of the most novel therapies that I know that gives you great anti-inflammatory action on the cell level, which is molecular hydrogen. And I drink that stuff, the water that's infused by that, and actually breathe gas of molecular hydrogen on a daily basis. And I won't get into the science too much on that one, but the bottom line is that will mitigate the free radical buildup and inflammation processes on the cell level and cause your system to age less rapidly. So, those are three little tips that everybody can do. And I think we should do that one because it's like these things will benefit us no matter what walk of life we have, no matter where we are.
Well, where can we get this like molecular hydrogen water?
Yeah, it's cool. There's a lot of links, a lot of places you can get that in America, but I'm going to give you the place that I believe is the best because I've had to look around because I've been in this game for a long time and I have to import some. So I do pay the tariffs. Thank you very much for those things. But the bottom line is people can go to sherwood.tv/H2, and I've given my favorites there. for people, and I put even a video on there for that. So didn't plan on saying that, but people can do that if they want to, and that's what I'd recommend for everybody.
Well, thank you. I'm going to check it out for sure.
Yeah.
And going back to the nutritional aspect of things, I definitely believe in moving every day and staying active. I have a huge background before all the high performance executive coaching and fitness and
Yes.
wellness. So I'm drinking the Kool-Aid and I really appreciate your expertise. Okay, so we're not eating the wheat, the soy, the any of the corn, things like that. So are we just eating like a ketogenic type diet with like protein and veggies and healthy fat? Like, what should you tell the audience that you recommend they do eat?
You nailed it. And I realize there's a bunch of diets out there. I get all that, but I like the people don't diet, don't think like that. Think more abundance, because if you think about dieting, the focus tends to be on what not to do. I mean, you look at business processes, we always teach what to do. We don't focus on what not to do. We mention it, but we don't put our efforts, energy into that. It's like looking at a bad employee. You're going to put all your efforts in a bad employee? No, you're going to get rid of that. You're going to feed the eagles, man, and quit feeding the buzzards, so to speak, right?
Right.
But the bottom line is, if you can eat good, clean proteins, buzzwords, organic, free range, wild caught, et cetera, and you can eat good vegetables that grow above the ground and some that grow below the ground. Watch your white potatoes because those can raise blood sugar. Good fruits and good fats such as olives, avocados, nuts, and seeds that are plain. Stay away from the seed oils and use the oils of the olive and avocado, coconut. You cannot go wrong with that. And Lisa, every person can benefit from that. I mean, every person. And it takes a little bit of mental fortitude to do it. It takes a little bit of understanding that the culture is not going to support you. But leaders that I know, people that want to be leaders, sometimes you got to step out there in the land by yourself, even amongst your family, friends, coworkers, colleagues, because somebody's going to do it. And I always believe that person is looking at us in the mirror.
Yeah, to me, a really good definition of leadership is self-leadership and leading by
Yes.
example. So, I just personally feel better when I eat that way, but I can't say that I'm perfect. I'd say maybe 80% of the time. And let's just jump back into my other favorite topic of longevity. Do you have any unique protocols or results or anything like that you want to talk about jumping back to that one?
Yeah, there's some results I had that are fascinating. So we have several series of tests that we do that can quantify the biological aging processes. So we can quantify and measure your aging process, your biological age from the immune system standpoint, kind of important. We can measure the brain age, we can measure the heart age, the organs age, et cetera. And it's not unusual. And I'm not bragging, this is not the point. But I am so used to this because I see it so much, it's become the norm. It's not unusual to see people aging from an immune system standpoint 20 to 40 years their junior. No kidding. It's
Wow.
shocking. And when I see it, I'm not surprised anymore. I used to be. Now, to get there, you've got to look at optimization of nutrition and hormones. I mean, they've got to be done right with good guidance. We do that. And then I look at a lot of different styles of peptides, being injectables or orals. But you can actually take some of those things and some supplements as well. And you can drive down the aging processes, which increases your ability to do what? Have a greater health span. Because if you can do what you want, when you want, how you want, and not hurt for a long period of time, to me, that's the definition of longevity.
Wow. Well, I love the way you tie it back to health span. I mean, and you're so right. I mean, none of us want to just live longer and
Yeah.
be like disabled. It's like crazy. And I moved away from where I was living in Los Angeles and New York originally to like the middle of nowhere. And it's just amazing how you see so many overweight, out of shape people like in the grocery store here just wheeling around in these wheelie things. And I'm like,
That
it's just, I'm so glad that we got a chance to talk about this topic. It's so important right now. I mean, post-pandemic, you just see the whole epidemic of obesity rising, and it's sad. And I appreciate the work you're doing. Do you have any other final words you want to leave our audience with about how we can be unstoppable in our health?
Well, I think that as we talked about earlier, the greatest leaderships begin by self-leaderships. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I encourage people that are listening right now is there's a lot of folks that have been told you can't. There's a lot of times we've been told that it's impossible or you're never going to change or you can't get well. Stop it, turn it off like a bad noise. Look ahead in the rearview mirror, look ahead in the forward mirror and stay away from the rearview mirror and start today one day at a time to make those choices. Find people around you that are going to support you, cultivate those friendships, and begin to love some other people from a distance that maybe want to not lead you down the pathway of true best health choices. So, people need to be encouraged. We've all had setbacks, we've all had problems, Lisa, but today's a new day.
Well, it's such a pleasure speaking with you. I love your whole attitude about looking forward. And where can people find more of you, Dr. Mark Sherwood?
Super simple. Go to Sherwood.tv. That's our main global outreach website. So go there and find all kinds of stuff. There's some free stuff if people want it. And there's a free ebook if people want to have that. Again, we like to give away people and stuff to people. And if people want to work with us, they can. We're multi-state licensed and all of that good stuff. But just really want to be a blessing to people.
Thank you, Dr. Mark Sherwood, for being a great guest on the podcast.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.